Hey, what's going on YouTube peeps, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at this live edge table base that I worked on for Mother's Day, so let's jump right on in. So this project is actually quite simple in its execution. We've already had the glass tabletop that we wanted to work with, and it's been in our family for like over 20 years now. But the base, as you can see, is pretty basic, and it's just really boring. Here I'm just starting off with some regular measurements just to make sure I get the right piece and that the end results in a functional table height because, you know, ergonomics is a thing. I found a place that actually sources the wood that we are looking for, but I've actually never done this before in my life. I'm really nervous because this is super expensive for what I normally pay for materials. So let's see how it goes. No pressure, am I right? But first, a quick stop at Home Depot to get some supplies.
Thank you for shopping at the Home Depot.
After getting some basic Home Depot supplies, I drive on over to this company that sources Brazilian wood because I thought it would be nice to tie in this piece into our cultural heritage in some way because we are Brazilian. I was not expecting how intimidating it was going to be inside, but after looking around, well, yeah, just give me a moment to explain. Alright guys, it's the next day, so there's been a slight update into the store yesterday that sources the Brazilian wood, and the reason why I left all of that footage gone is because they didn't have the piece that I wanted, and that kind of really bummed me out, not gonna lie, and it's been a little bit demotivational. I don't know, I found another place further away. Apparently they're also sustainably sourced, said that they have like a lot of driftwood and a lot of other stuff that's been reclaimed. A lot of these woods are like more exotic woods, so like Southeast Asia and the type, which is not a deal breaker, but it would have been special to have that Brazilian wood, you know what I mean? But it's okay. I'm on my way up to the store with the reclaimed wood right now. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Alright guys, we finally made it here, and I guess it's the moment of truth, right? Let's see if this is the one. And after about 2 hours of looking around, I finally found it. The perfect piece of wood for this table project. Yes, we finally found it. Oh my god, that was stressful. It costed a lot more than I thought it would, but honestly, for the piece of wood that we got, it's gonna be worth it. Hopefully, my mom will like it, because, you know, this is a Mother's Day gift after all. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited. The table has finally arrived. I can't tell you how excited I am to get started on this. It really is a beautiful piece. I was not expecting it, honestly. So I'm so happy with how it looks like right now. Now, the thing is that this had already been worked on, so it wouldn't be fair at all to say that I made this entirely. This is going to be more of like a refurbishing, if anything, rather than making it. All I really have to do is sand off this whitewash that was coated around the perimeter of it. So I'm probably going to start with a 320 or a 400 and work my way up to maybe 500 or 600. I don't have to do much, but like I want to keep the top as untouched as possible just because it's already so smooth and has a really nice finish to it. Now, the main issue is, how the hell am I going to get it through this door? So now came the task of figuring out how to get this massive piece of wood through the kitchen door. First, I measured the width of the sliding door in the kitchen, which is just about 30 inches, which is also the total height of the actual wood itself, so I got really lucky with that. Then I had some cardboard lying around from my last freelance gig, so I used that to create a kind of jigsaw on top of the table. Since that is the widest part, that's also going to be the most troublesome to figure out. Also, this should go without saying, but please do not try any of this at home. This entire scene is probably setting off a red flag for any of you who are familiar with workplace violations, so for both our sakes, let's just regard this as entertainment, yeah? Next, I trace the perimeter along the bottom of the cardboard, and then once that's done, I cut everything out as accurately to size as possible. Once that was done, I then bring the cutout back outside to check if the edges are accurate, which they were. And now with this, I attempt to figure out how to finesse this piece into the kitchen. But after a few failed attempts, I quickly realized that it's really gonna suck. But after some more testing, I eventually found a way to get the cardboard cut out through the door by spinning it around one of the edges bending inward. And since it was just about half an inch too long, I was gonna have to tilt the trunk ever so slightly to get it in the door. Honestly, I couldn't believe how lucky I was because I did absolutely zero planning when I bought this thing. What could go wrong? Now that I finally had everything I needed, it was time to start actually working on the table. I noticed that there were some loose bits of wood in this crack right here that I really wanted to clean out and make it look a bit nicer. So I proceeded to piss off the entire woodworking community by gently digging at it with a sharp, flathead screwdriver instead of a chisel. Hate all you want, but it got the job done just fine. If it ain't broke, as they say. This was probably the most therapeutic part of the process, as I really just took my time and made sure not to rush. It really made me appreciate the work I was doing, and in a way, it felt like I was connecting with not just the piece of wood, but also with myself again. Doing work like this really brought back a sense of excitement and motivation that I hadn't felt in a while, and just really gave me the reassurance that I had chosen the right thing to do for myself when starting this channel and this project. So, if you're liking what you see so far, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button, as it will really help me grow my channel and come up with bigger and crazier projects. Next came the real fun bit, which was, you guessed it, sanding. This was my first time actually working on a wood like this, so I was told I had to hand sand the entire thing if I wanted to remove the whitewash stain. So I tried little sanding experiments with both the paper and a sanding sponge on different parts to see which would work better, but with minimal results. So I clearly lost my patience and just tried it out lightly with an orbital sander. After seeing much quicker results, my excitement definitely got the better of me as I just completely went to town on that one side. But even though this was sped up, this entire process took about 2 hours just to take off the top coat of the stain, as well as the texture of the wood in the process, which left this little bald spot on the side of it. So after discussing with my brother, I figured it was best to just go back to hand sanding everything, which also took another 3 or 4 hours. I knew I wasn't going to finish this in time for Mother's Day, but honestly, at this point it wasn't a big deal. I just wanted to do my due diligence and finish the right way instead of finishing it quickly. And even though it was unfinished by Mother's Day, I was still really excited to do the big reveal. No, it definitely needs work done, but we're almost there. Talking about this,
It's not what I'm thinking.
for a while. But
A brand new car.
you like it?
It's too expensive.
So clearly my mom was really happy with her gift, which was amazing as we essentially gave her her dream dining table. However, after some discussion, she hits me with this.
I like the way you use. What?
This was the part that I realized maybe I should have waited before spending 8+ hours on sanding the sides. And at the end, she does make a good point that most of our kitchen furnishings are white anyway. So after reevaluating, I agreed to keep the sides as is and instead just sand off the top to really bring out the natural beauty of the wood. That way, we have the visual interest of seeing the grain, while the whitewashed side matches and blends in with the rest of the kitchen. The irony isn't lost on me, seeing as this is literally the exact opposite of what I wanted to do in the beginning, but in the end, this means that I get to do less work and finish quicker so we can finally enjoy using the table. I got started next day bright and early to finish the table once and for all. I hadn't realized it, but the whitewash stain had really penetrated deep into the wood on the top, and it was also kind of uneven. Thankfully, I didn't have to mind about preserving the grain texture on top, as it was going to be sanded very smooth anyway. So I got a 220 grit sandpaper, popped it into the orbital sander, and carefully went at it. I did some more research in between, and because I was working with solid teak, I had to consider its high oil content, meaning if I pressed too hard with the sander, it would essentially burn the wood. So to mitigate that, I simply let the weight of the sander itself press into the surface and then just dragged it around until all the whitewash stain was removed and the color of the wood started to show. Teak, being a hardwood, is also quite forgiving when it comes to sanding, so I didn't realize that even at 220 grit, the surface finish was coming out incredibly smooth, which was a huge relief. After about 4 hours of nonstop sanding, the color of the wood finally revealed itself, and the results were much more beautiful than I had expected. I then wiped off the surface with a very damp paper towel so that some of the moisture would seep into the wood and bring out the grain structure. This also serves to see what the wood will look like once it's been stained. All that's left now was to finally finish it with a very liberal amount of beeswax and see the color come to life. Next came the ordeal of actually moving the wood into the kitchen. Overall, it took about an hour to get this massive piece inside. The thing weighed about 300 pounds, so having the moving straps and my dad and brother helping out was super helpful. Thankfully, we managed to get it in without a hitch, and right on time too, because literally the minute we got it in, this happened. Now that the wooden base was in the kitchen, all I had to do was add a little cardboard shim and trim it. This is temporary though, until I put an actual wooden shim. We then added silicone bumpers so that the wood would be protected from the glass, and once we've made all the final adjustments, we toasted a happy Mother's Day to christen the use of our new table. This was really a wonderful first project to start my YouTube journey. I can't wait until the next one.